Hi, this is Jamie, Chief Technician for the Rational Bicycle team. What I'd like to talk to you now about is the spectrograph. Right now we're looking at the RTA, but there's another way of looking at spectrum, and that's with the spectrograph. And I think the easiest way to show it to you is actually, I'm going to jump over to a two-window view. Now, what we're seeing on the spectrograph is on the vertical scale we're seeing measurements go by in time. Horizontal scale again is going to be frequency domain, and then we're going to use color to indicate level. Now on the RTA graph we've got two markers on the RTA graph. We've got the low threshold and high threshold. And what we're going to notice is as signal crosses over the low threshold, it's going to start to show up on the graph. It's going to start off as a dark purple. If it's below the threshold, it's going to be black on the screen, but then it will go to a dark purple, then a lighter blue, then a green, then a yellow, orange, red, and by the time it hits the top threshold, it's going to show up as white. So I'm just going to whistle here, and you can see it's changing in frequency, and you can see it changing in level as I go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my microphone in a little bit closer so I can really hit this microphone a little bit harder. And now you can see my voice showing up in the spectrograph. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to expand out this view down at the bottom, and I'm going to change the threshold level. So I can control the low threshold and the high threshold on the fly, and I can do that with older data. We're retaining the data even as it passes off the screen. We're retaining a certain number of traces. I can go back through my spectrograph history by hitting the up and down arrows, or I can go back to the current measurements by just hitting either the X or Y axis. The information about the spectrograph is contained in the spectrograph settings in the spectrum options. You can get the spectrum options either through the options menu or hitting the spectrum name above the spectrum control area. We can see that right now I've got a slice height of 4 pixels per measurement, and slices in history I'm retaining 1,000 measurements in our history. We take 24 measurements per second, so that means that 1,000 slices basically equals about 40 seconds worth of data. Now I could increase that. I could increase that to 2,000 slices. It just means that I now need to save twice as much data in memory. Now we're at 125 megabytes, so nothing too hefty. I hit apply. Okay, so my data on my screen is showing the measurements as they go by. I can use plus and minus to compact or expand the time scale with our data. Now this is a really great way of looking at an RTA over time, and there's some great applications, and so I think Chris, one of our documentation specialists, will be in here to talk to you about different applications of the spectrograph. Being able to look at RTA over time really helps show up some phenomenon that are very visible over time. In fact, as I'm talking, there's a background noise going on down at about 60 cycles, cranking through and creating a line on this plot.